Hello everyone, my name is Seth, and today I'm going to give you my review of One Battle After Another. I really like the looks of the trailer for One Battle After Another. It has so much talent behind it, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, who is great in everything. Seems to be a little bit of a different role for him. So I was really excited. I was looking forward to it. And then you add on top the fact that I heard a ton of really awesome buzz around this movie. So I was so excited for this film, but I kind of have to say, I know I'm in the minority, but I kind of hate this movie. This was the first film in a long time that I actually considered walking out of. But before we dive deeper into that, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. We are on the road to 400 subscribers. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And if you're not new here, share this video around with any friends or family. It can help the channel grow and it would absolutely make my day. And also, this video is sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is an energy drink that is loaded with vitamins and is pretty much for anyone who wants a boost of energy to help focus without any jitters or a crash. I'm somebody who sometimes has a lot of really early mornings or some late nights working on videos or preparing for a live broadcast. So having a little bit of extra energy, a little bit of focus really helps. But I think W works for me. I've tried it. W is sugar-free, 0 calorie, and has no artificial colors, which is great. If you've recognized from my past videos, I've actually lost quite a bit of weight over the last year or so. So having something that's 0 calories, 0 sugar is really a plus for me. I have the blue raspberry purple grape flavor, and that tastes really good. You just add a scoop into about 8 ounces of water. Some other energy drinks can kind of taste like battery acid, but this actually has a good taste. And for me, it works. I did not get jittery like I did with some others. It was just enough to help me focus on like editing or focus on like multiple cameras on a live broadcast. They have a bunch of different flavors, so if you want to try it for yourself, I actually have a code for you. Use code CinemaSeth at checkout to get 10% off your order. Now on with the video. All right, so I don't know if this will actually be like a really long review or if it'll be a really short review. You could check the time. You'll know either down here somewhere. But this film has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics, and it has an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes from audiences. So it's obvious that I am in the minority here. For whatever reason, I'm not seeing what a lot of other people are seeing about this film. So let me at the top just kind of say what I've said for a lot of different films. I've said it in a lot of videos. All film is subjective. So if there's a film that doesn't work for me but works for you, then that's awesome. I'm glad it works for you. And if there's a film that works for me but doesn't for you, that's a shame. I wish it worked for you. Maybe just we'll try again next time kind of thing. But when it comes to film, no one is ever really truly right or wrong. With that being said, I do know that I am in the minority. I know most people really like this film. So I'm going to try to kind of articulate why it doesn't work for me. First, I think kind of as a whole, a lot of the problems stem from the fact that I think the writing is incredibly poor. I think there's some plot threads that are brought up. They seem like they're going to be major points in the story, and then they're just kind of forgotten, and maybe they're addressed kind of at some point closer to the third act, but that just doesn't really work for me. But then I think one of the biggest issues I have is that our main character doesn't really have an impact on the story at all. You could take Leonardo DiCaprio's character completely out of the movie, and the ending would still be the ending. Now, I understand you can make that argument for a movie like Raiders of the Lost Ark, but there's a difference because all of the story weaves in and out together very, very well. It's all very entertaining, and you got characters you love. And spoiler alert for the rest of this video, none of that happens, at least for me, when I was watching this film. But Bob, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, he just never really makes decisions that pushes the story forward. You know, that's what I want from my main characters. That's what I think makes a film and a story and characters super successful, is when you have a character and you kind of squeeze that character and their decisions. You really get the core of who they are as a character, and they make choices. And those choices determine how the story. I think the pacing in this film is not good at all. The film is 2 hours and 41 minutes, but to me, sitting in the theater, it felt like about 4.5 hours. I think the opening 20 minutes, honestly, doesn't need to be focused on. You probably could have cut 15 minutes out of that opening. It seems like it's going to play in a ton to the rest of the film. It seems like every little detail they talk about in that opening is going to matter, when in all reality, it doesn't. I just feel like a lot of the setup here is kind of a waste of time. You could have been more efficient with your storytelling. And there's a lot of times in this film where they just lingered on settings or story beats for way too long. There's times where you just needed to go and move on with the story, and they just didn't. And as a whole, there really wasn't that much to the story at all. And that kind of a movie can work. There's really not a lot going on in the story in Mad Max Fury Road, but it still works because there's so many other things around the story that makes that movie great. There were also some really, honestly, incredibly dumb plot points that were brought up throughout the course of this film, and some of it just didn't work for me at all. It kind of felt like completely random, honestly, just off the wall. It just didn't really make sense. And I don't think it fit the tone of the story either. I think some of it was supposed to be funny, but it wasn't funny, and it just came off as weird, and it didn't seem like it fit the rest of the film. Another thing I want to say about the writing that didn't work is the characters. Pretty much all of them are bad. And I don't just mean that the characters themselves are bad people, which, I mean, honestly, in this film, most of them are. I mean, for the most part, a lot of these characters are just very poorly written. If a character has a motivation, and that's not a given, their motivation is typically pretty weak in the course of this film. But I feel like a lot of these characters are kind of established as a little bit more realistic, a little bit more grounded of characters. But as the film goes on, it just kind of jumps the shark for me. I feel like most of the characters throughout this movie end up just kind of turning into cartoon characters. And I did mention it a little bit before, but almost all of the characters are completely unlikable. They are terrible people who do a bunch of terrible things, and I just could never connect with them. Leonardo DiCaprio's character, his daughter Willa, and Benicio del Toro's character, those are the only two characters that I started to kind of have a connection with. Those are the only two that I didn't actively dislike. I dislike to hate almost every other character in this film. I almost liked Leonardo DiCaprio's character, almost, but I'm still not a big fan of the character. You can have characters who are bad people who do bad things and still make the story interesting and still make you care about what happens next in the story and what happens to these characters. You look at the show Penguin on HBO Max. Penguin is one of the best shows I've seen in years. And Penguin is a absolutely horrible person, and he's the main character. But they got us invested in this story, and they made us care about what happens. They don't do that here at all. These characters are just bad people, and I don't care. And to me, a lot of the dialogue in this film felt really awkward and unnatural. Leonardo DiCaprio does give a good performance. He's good in basically anything, but he is good here. This isn't one of my favorite performances of his. He honestly didn't have a ton to work with the script, but he did what he could. If it was a lesser actor, that would have been a major problem. Chase Infinity does a pretty good job as Willa. She is honestly not in the movie enough. She has the most to work with emotionally, but I mean, I just needed more from her character. Benicio del Toro's performance is solid, but he doesn't really have much to work with. I do have to mention Sean Penn. He gives one of the worst and most bizarre performances I have ever seen. He was absolutely horrible in this movie. I think it's probably a combination of the script, the directing, and his acting choices, but holy cow, was he bad in this movie. I mean, maybe you'll get this if you've seen the film, and maybe this will make sense if you didn't, but he makes a certain acting choice with just his character's walk, and even that's bad. And like, no, I'm not joking. Like his actual, like, walking, putting one foot in front of the other, it was so distracting and pulled me out of the movie. And honestly, every time he was on screen, it pulled me out of the movie, and I just couldn't help but cringe. And I understand we're supposed to hate his character, but his performance was just awful. And the supporting cast around was just kind of like whatever to not good as well. There's not really a lot of technical filmmaking that stood out to me here either. There's two things I do want to bring up though. I think the score was almost great. I like how it tried to keep the pace of the film up, but whenever the film would just slow down and linger, the score kind of ended up feeling repetitive. And then there's a couple of times, even in the same scene, where the color grading was not even consistent. Now, granted, that could have been a theater issue, but I can only judge what I see. And to me, it didn't look like a projector issue. It looked like it was baked into the film. But there weren't like a ton of overly creative shot choices. There wasn't really a ton of action to judge here. Overall, I have to say I'm incredibly disappointed. I walked into the theater thinking that this was potentially going to be a top 3 film of the year for me. And then I was sitting in the theater contemplating walking out. But now, after watching it, if I had to choose between watching the Minecraft movie again or watching this movie again, I gotta pick the Minecraft movie, and I hate the Minecraft movie. I have to give this a 1.5 out of 5. Well, that's it. That's my review of One Battle After Another. Have you seen this film? Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Do you think I'm absolutely crazy and 100% wrong? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Don't forget, you can get 10% off your order at Dubby using the link in the description. And you can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.